As 2019 draws to a close, the United States has a new promise to Iran's government.
First, I have redesignated Iran as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act. The world should know Iran is among the worst violators of basic fundamental religious freedoms. We're restricting visas for current or former Iranian officials and individuals responsible for or complicit in the abuse, detention, or killing of peaceful protesters.
The U.S. State Department says the move is a response to Iran's treatment of protesters who have taken to the streets over massive fuel price hikes. Protests have taken place across the country, with people calling for Iran's clerical leadership to step down. The Iranian government cracked down, detaining some people and blocking the internet. Experts say around 304 people have been killed so far in the protests, with thousands more being detained. The U.S. says Iran must respect human rights if the country wants to be welcomed back into the international community. The sanctions come at the end of a year of contentious events between Washington and Tehran. In April, the U.S. declared Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a foreign terrorist organization. In May, former National Security Advisor John Bolton announced that the U.S. would deploy an aircraft carrier and bomber planes to the Persian Gulf in response to perceived threatening behavior from Iran. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani responded by announcing that Iran would begin stockpiling low-enriched uranium and heavy water, materials which could be used to create nuclear weapons. And tensions skyrocketed in June when Iran shot down a U.S. drone, prompting Donald Trump to authorize a limited strike on the country, a decision the U.S. president later reversed. The events are set against a backdrop of sanctions against Iranian companies and individuals, as part of the U.S.'s maximum pressure campaign to drive down Iran's oil exports to zero. The tensions between the U.S. and Iran may be taking place on a diplomatic level, but the effects are far-reaching and are felt closer to home. There are nearly 500,000 Iranian Americans living in the U.S., and people say they are concerned about the current situation.
Iranians are one of those minorities that have not asked the government to help them when they are here. They're all businessmen, they're doctors, professors, they are all successful here. The only thing they were not involved was politics. And I said, this is one area that I can shine and make the Iranian look good.
Jimmy Delshad became the mayor of Beverly Hills in 2007, the first Iranian American to hold public office in the district. Jimmy is Jewish, but it was 9/11 that inspired him to enter politics after feeling targeted simply as a Middle Easterner.
When that happened, anybody that looked at me saw me as a Middle Eastern, and it was a lot of anxiety and anger towards anyone that looked Middle Eastern. So I decided I want to change that by bringing a good side of that community.
40% of Iranian Americans live in California. Many live there because the climate is similar to Iran, and LA is home to the largest Iranian community outside of the home country. Many Iranian Americans support Donald Trump in his sharp political posture against Iran. When he opted out of the nuclear agreement and increased sanctions, some people here saw it as an opportunity to overthrow the regime.
I was supporting President Trump because he's the one who was serious about the problem in Iran. Sometimes, he's giving us the negative, but sometimes it's a positive. Most of my people here, we are against the war. We don't want a war.
Iran was one of the 7 predominantly Muslim countries that had its new immigrant and non-immigrant visas suspended under the infamous Muslim travel ban. But Trump's ban isn't just affecting Muslim Iranians. Many in the Iranian American community are Jewish, yet they too have felt the sting of the ban.
It put the whole Iran and Iranian people into this category of people who are not allowed to easily come to the United States. So it has affected them in many ways. The people who are here, those of them who are not citizens or do not have yet their legal status clarified, they find it difficult to leave the United States and to come back.
While many Iranian Americans support increased U.S. pressure on Iran, they're also worried about where escalating tensions can lead. Concern of an armed conflict between the two countries remains, and although Trump has said he's open to talking to Iran, that doesn't seem to be on the horizon.
This is one way the United States is doing, is using human rights as a weapon against countries that it disagrees with. They do not do the same thing with Saudi Arabia in Yemen, which is much worse. So the Iranians know this very well, and of course they hate it, but I believe at the end of the day negotiations will prevail, and both the Iranians and the Americans realize that major countries in the region like Turkey will want this negotiation to succeed.
So as the year draws to a close, the U.S.-Iran relationship is stuck in a precarious state, with neither side able to bridge the growing gap between them. Lionel Donovan, TRT World.